Hello and welcome to Flashy Tunes. In this video we're going to be looking at symbols, creating symbols and why we create them, and the different types of symbols that are available to us. If we start by going up here and just creating a simple circle, we then convert that into a symbol by highlighting it, coming up to modify, and then choosing convert to symbol. Here are all the different types of symbols. I'll go into that in a little bit. It's always very important to name your symbols, whatever it will be. Click OK, and you can now see that the ball has a blue square going around it. This means that it's now a symbol. Whereas beforehand, when the circle was independent on the stage, we could come up to it and modify it and change its shape. Now we can't. To do that, we have to double click on the symbol and then go into the symbol. You can see up here where we currently are. We've gone from scene 1 into the ball. If we go back, you can see that we're on scene 1. And then we have the symbol that we're able to manipulate. Now if we go and double click on the symbol, we'll actually go inside of it. Inside the symbol we can actually modify it as we normally would. So we can stretch it around, we can change its color. And then when we go back to the scene by either clicking on scene or double clicking on the stage, then it's referred back to its symbol state. So all we're able to do is move it around. First of all, why do we actually create a symbol? There are very simple reasons why. First of all, space in your animation. If you create an object and then transfer or modify that object into a symbol, it doesn't matter if you reuse that symbol multiple times, only the first example of that symbol will be counted towards the overall size. So we're talking about an animation going from half a gig to 12 gig because there's so much content going on inside of the animation. Also, if you create a symbol, an example of that symbol will go inside of your library. So if we come up to our library tab and click, you can see we have an example here of our symbol. If I wanted to drag in an instance or a copy of that symbol, all I need to do is click, drag. I have another example. I can go inside the symbol, resize it, and you'll notice, reshape it even, and you'll notice that the changes that I've made to the instance, to the copy, has actually happened to the original back in the background as well. So let's look at the different types of symbols that are available to us. I'm sick of looking at circles, so I'm just going to make myself a square. I'm sick of the same colors as well, so let's make it a nice pink square. Again, we'll convert this into a symbol. You can either come here, press modify and convert to symbol. You can press F8, or you can right click on the object you've just selected and come down here, convert to symbol. Now, when this box opens up, we're able to name it. And by here, underneath type, we're able to choose the type of symbol we want it to be. So, it's normally always defaulted to graphic. And a graphic is basically just a still image that you can then turn into a symbol, which you can then animate in its own right. We have a button. That's normally used for interactivity. So if you wanted to create an interactive game or video or animation or anything like that, then you could create button symbols as well. And movie clips. Now movie clips act the same as graphics. In the case of you're able to take still images, still shapes, characters and things like that, and then animate them in their own right. Or a movie clip can also be an actual movie clip. So a previous animation or an animated character that you bring in to a brand new animation, You then click it to be a movie clip, and it will animate in its own right. So basically you'd have a film within a film. For now, let's just click on graphic and OK. We have our square symbol. Now you can also create symbols within symbols. Now there's a reason for this. Let me give you an example. Change this back to circle. I'll make this a little bit less white than white. Okay. Now if I were to highlight these and turn them both into symbols, and then go into the symbols and create myself some pupils. Ooh. What I'll do to do this is I'll go into the stroke. I'll select no stroke, no color, no stroke. I'm now able to right click on this pupil, convert to symbol. Let's call it left pupil. We'll do the same with this, convert. We'll name this right pupil. Now when we go back to scene 1, if we want to move the whole thing, we want to move all of the eyes, and then we want to animate the actual pupils independently, we're able to go in, select the pupils, move them around, then go back to scene 1 and move the eyes as a whole again. So this is a very good technique for grouping lots of different objects. And again, say we were to have lots of different characters on the screen, and they all had a set of eyes, and you all wanted to animate them independently, then you'd be able to create those eyes as symbols, duplicate lots of instances of those eyes, and it wouldn't take up as much space as having lots of different eyes all as separate objects you have to animate independently. One other thing that should be mentioned about symbols is they have their own timeline. For example, if I name this layer eyes in scene 1, and I were to double click on the eyes, you can see I'm now layer 1. That's because the eyes themselves actually have their own timeline. This means that you're able to independently animate something, for example, a pupil dilating or moving around on the eye, or an eye bouncing up and down, or an eye animating whatever way you choose, and then you would go back into scene 1. You're not going to have all of those keyframes. You're not going to have that mess on your main stage, on your main scene 1 timeline. Let me give you an example of this. If I'd go to, let's say, frame 5, insert keyframe, in this one I can move this here, this one I can, oh excuse me, move this pupil over here, this one I can move the pupils. Basically all I'm doing is moving the pupils around the eye. There we go. And then when we go back onto scene 1, we can see that all of that is nice and tidy. All we need to do to view that animation within scene 1 is to go to frame 20, right click, insert keyframe, and even though there are no actions prompted for the rest of the timeline, the eyes still move. That's because the eyes timeline is linked to scene 1 timeline. Okay, thank you very much for watching. This has been an introduction to symbols. In the next video, we'll actually look at tweening and different animating techniques. Thank you very much for watching. Take care and have a good day.